Hey everyone, Arthur Fantastic here, aka the Irresistible Venom. We're at Zenith Jiu Jitsu in Las Vegas, and I'm talking to the great Robert Drysdale, author of Opening Closed Guard, The Rise and Evolution of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. That's two books. That for me, that makes you a historian to me. Multiple world BJJ champ, one of two Americans to win the World IBJJF Championship at 94 kilos. One of four Americans to win the ADCC Absolute Gold, multiple ADC medalists, and owner of the best victory celebration after being what's called the GOAT, Marcelo Garcia. Robert Drysdale, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you for the kind words. I'm always like uncomfortable when people call me great, legend, or historian, or any of those things. I don't feel that way, but I appreciate the kind words.
Oh, of course. I definitely appreciate your knowledge. I just want to keep going on about that. How like watching you meet Marcelo and that wing, everybody from the Vera, seeing him just rushing the mat, lifting you up. I think they dropped you at one point.
It's heavy.
I thought it was a very amazing moment. I think it was not necessarily the change of guard, but I think it was another step forward in jiu-jitsu. So before I gush anymore, I'm going to jump into my first question. Watching a video on opening closed guard, but discussed the effect of American wrestling on Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Could you expound more on that topic?
I think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has takedown deficiencies, obviously.
Right, yes.
Which is, you think that they would have learned more, we would have learned more from judo. Because Brazilian's really good judo. Brazil has a huge Japanese population. Brazilian judo is actually very good. It's very competitive. A lot of people don't know this. It's probably top 5 in the world.
Okay.
But I think the rivalry between judo and jiu-jitsu it was such a big part of the culture not to accept judos or anything. Judo guys looked at us the same way, so probably not as much cross-training as they think. So the result, and I think these guys became very deficient with wrestling. I think that when Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu made it to America, like that hole was fulfilled with American wrestling, because it was something that people, Brazilians, I think they didn't want to learn. Right, there was no one to teach. I remember being like a blue belt. I mean, a purple belt in Brazil, and I've been watching tape of Mark see double leg. Wow, you see what he's doing,
Yeah.
I wanted to learn, but like there was no one to teach it, right? So I think a lot of methodology is borrowed from wrestling. I borrow a lot from wrestling. I think wrestling, in terms of methodology, you were right. That they train the right way. That's how it's supposed to train.
I agree.
And I think that BJJ's methodology is. I don't think we've given it enough thought, really, like what good methodology it is. We're too subjected to fads and the internet in general, and we're letting them kind of set the standard of what good is.
Yes.
And I'm against that. I said in my little speech after I asked, I'm very logical person. I'm looking at how do I make this more efficient, whether it's cool or not is irrelevant. And I think a lot of wrestling methodology is simple to the point of effective, but it's hard. And I think that's the main reason why people mentally very demanding. So that's something that I think has made it's a lot of jiu-jitsu people are averse to anything, not just the takedown themselves, but just like the hard resisted repetition. Like a warm-up in wrestling is an hour. It's actually a normal thing.
Yeah.
And it's something that jiu-jitsu is more commercial. So it draws people that, if you're working 9 to 5, different kind of clientele, Like if you're a wrestler, probably in high school and college, you don't have a life.
Right.
Sure, you can train 3 hours a day and not care, but you've got nothing else to do.
That's true.
But if you work 9 to 5, you don't want to come here and go through boot camp.
Right.
So there's that element. It's what makes jiu-jitsu, it's its weakness and its strength. Wrestling's the opposite. Wrestling's strength is that it's not a commercial product.
Right.
Because if it were, I think eventually the standards will be lower, but they're easier and more appealing to people. But at the same time, once you have people working 9 to 5 in wrestling, you can't have that spark in wrestling practice. Right? But it hurts them financially. It's hard because you can get. I know wrestlers are phenomenal athletes, they can't make a living.
I was gonna say there's no money in
There's
wrestling.
no money in wrestling because unless they're a government employee, which how many wrestlers are gonna get that kind of job? It's none of that. It doesn't even pay that well anyway, from what I hear.
Yeah, I know. Top 1% of the 1%, and then you get sponsorships, maybe.
It's you're doing it for the love of it, right? I mean, just on the other end, there's plenty of money to be made. I mean, especially now, it's so popular. But at the same time, you know, you have to lower the intensity a little bit. That's been a major change in the jiu-jitsu experience. But I think that's the influence, you know. I think that I am heavily influenced by wrestling, not because I wrestle, not because I'm good at wrestling, I'm not. But I know wrestlers and I've seen them train and they can think and I know what they went through in the sense of like a mindset. I'm like, that's what I want. So that was my what I loved about jiu-jitsu the most is that it's like this is something that's gonna make you excel as an athlete. Like how can it make you the best version of yourself? It's always what I've been interested in performance. You know, but as a business owner, I have to balance these things out.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that I've been watching a lot of the content, and one of the reasons I think that is the case is also because what you were discussing in your interview with Stephen Testing, where you were saying that a lot of the training methodology was just private and maybe a little bit of rolling, and where now though it's become more commercial, there's more rolling, and just like there's live sparring and wrestling. In fact, one of the techniques you showed today in the comb over into that single leg, I feel like a lot of jiu-jitsu gyms are missing that portion of grappling where there's that transition from the ground to standing, actually wrestling up as opposed to just trying to maybe swing forward.
There's a lot of different ways you can train jiu-jitsu. So I suppose I teach something like grappling jiu-jitsu, something for everyone. I focus on what I call the building blocks, or like the statistically common positions. That's the other way I work like that.
I definitely see that.
Because I'm teaching a group. If I were teaching an individual, if I had one athlete only, I would focus on him and his deficiencies. Right? But because I have a group, I have to look at the group deficiencies. So sometimes that's not with the individual deficiencies. And we're living in a very individualistic era. People are very me, very selfish. So they don't really think what's best for the group, they think what's best for them. Right. And this causes problems, of course, but I'm very set on my ways because I know it's better. You don't train the individual, you train the group. I've trained many champions, but I know how this works. Like you don't focus on the individual, you focus on the group. If you strengthen the group, mid to long term, the individual is better off. You understand? So we have to, in that period, we have to bridge that gap. So get the individual to understand that if he just gets in line with everyone else, he will benefit at the end. Right? A very difficult thing to get through people's heads because people are so, they want results right now.
Right.
No one has the patience to wait 10 years to be a world champion.
And what that instant gratification.
Instant gratification. They want to be famous now. They want to be rich now. If they don't get these things right away, they start blaming. And I don't grudge because I know that what I do works.
Right.
Like I look at those guys in like the Caucasus, Central Asia, like how they have that unity sense of like loyalty to one another. I'm like, that's what makes excellence right there. You can't get to the top alone. If you're individualism, it will hurt you. You think, oh, me. You can only go so far thinking that way. You have to find a group of people that support you, that you believe in them, they believe in you. Sky's the limit. Right. But you need that. You don't. This is a team sport. This is not an individual sport. It's a myth. You do nothing alone in fighting.
Right.
I've seen, and this is a major problem in MMA. It's becoming a problem in jiu-jitsu. And I'm not wrong about this because like the belief, the core belief is at the bottom of everything. Because if you don't have that, I don't care how much you train, I don't care how gifted you are.
Right.
You need to believe in yourself, and for that to be reinforced, because you're going to have doubt in your life, and question yourself. You need a group of people that believe in you.
Right.
You understand? And I've had that in my career. My jiu-jitsu career went a lot better than my MMA career. And one of the reasons I think that MMA is very individualistic. Like it was hard to create that. I had friends that trained with me, but like I had that. But it was very different from jiu-jitsu where I felt like I had a team. You know, it was different. In my jiu-jitsu career, I had people that supported me and wanted me to win around me. In my MMA career, I had people around me that wanted me to lose. Wow. That's sensitive.
Right.
You know,
You sense it.
It's weird, man. Like I'm big on that. Like I'm very sensitive to these things.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's far more important than people realize that in the fighting game, the emotional side of things.
Oh yeah.
Because you say emotions in fighting, like, oh, don't be a bitch, I don't have emotions. But fighters are extremely emotional. You're walking into a cage where you get a guy who's been training for 20 years to knock your head off. Like, it's scary.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, there's no shame in admitting that. It's nerve-wracking. To me, it was. I was shitting my pants every fight. But I knew that if I had people back home truly believing me, wanted me to win, I don't know, man. It gave me a different kind of energy. To me, it made a difference. Like that group of people that believed in me made all the difference. I felt like I had to win. Like thing, you know, it gives you the courage.
It's like Goku when he gets the power food spear bomb.
You're not alone. You're not alone. You understand? You don't want to walk out on those mats in that cage alone. You want to walk in with a group of people believing in you. And for that, you get camaraderie. Camaraderie is not built on individualism. It is built on sacrificing yourself for your team. And I talk about these things to people, but they don't believe it. It's like it's not on the internet, Bob.
Right.
It's not on Instagram, so it can't be true. You know what I'm saying? Until maybe Tony Robbins makes a video and talks about it.
Right.
It's Tony Robbins said because these statements are famous. You know, like it's how people are. But dude, I know what I'm talking about. Put any coach in the world, any discipline in front of me, he'll agree with me. Any experienced coach. You put Dan Gable in front of me, he'll agree with you. I guarantee you. You know, anyone, because this is the core. This is the core of what we do, is having like a group of people that's the foundation of everything. Without that, everything else is second. And, you know, it's a huge problem in jiu-jitsu. Like, I talk about these things, people just just want to learn the latest leg lock. I'm like, okay, it's not your problem. You can, I'm not against it, but that's not your problem. That's not why you're losing. It's not, you don't lack positions. You don't lack positions. You lack this right here. That's where you're lacking. I'm trying to teach you that. Hard to teach. But if everyone believes it, it keeps pushing you, at least maybe you won't have the heart of a lion, man, but I can improve on that. Because in my experience, it comes down to this. This is the biggest factor. It's the biggest factor. Everything.
I think you said it in class, like, sometimes the best person in the gym loses, and sometimes mediocre people in the gym win. And I think a big contributor is the people around them.
Look, it's about factors, right? It's not one factor.
Well,
all those factors in your favor. It's everything from your sleep to your diet to your personal life. Personal life's got to be in order. I see people walk in with bad energy, like upset, you know, like something's going on, you know, and I'm like, it's not the right mindset, you know? Like, you want to be in a happy place all the time. Like, I think he's just being, you know, I don't expect you to be like over the moon every day, but, you know, but I just having like that, bring that good energy on the mats when you walk on the mats. I think it helps you, it helps the group. And I think these things they're very underlooked because they're not concrete. You can't really put your hand on them. You know, it's very difficult to put your finger on, but they're very important. You know?
Those working variables that no one's really looking at.
Don't do every variable counts. Every little variable counts. It's a game of inches. You have to try to have everything. You know, like I talked about this today. People only want to work on the things they're good at.
That's true.
Like, that's lack of discipline, man.
Right.
It's lack of coaching. I get shit from people all the time because I make them do it.
Right.
And they kind of push people away. You'd be surprised. You'd think they would thank me. Like, that's a good coach. Some people do. A lot of people don't know. They kind of grab it. They see it as almost a problem because they want to do what they want to do.
Right.
I push them away. I'm like, I'm not going to give you what you want. I like you and respect you too much to give you what you want. I'm going to give you what you need.
Right.
And if you don't like it, that's on you. It's my job. It's my job to give you what you need. But shit, what you like. I want to learn something else. I'm not here to make you feel good. I make you here. I am here to try to bring the best version out of you. And that, you know, that champion inside of you, that lion inside, I want to find that guy. I want to bring it out. I know it's in there. You got to listen to me. You got to trust me. Oh, you don't trust me? Find a new coach that you can trust me. Because you're not going to go anywhere.
Unless you have a class.
You're not going in. You need to find someone who trusts. If you don't trust me, I'm not offended. You gotta go somewhere else and find someone who trusts.
I think that one of the things that you were mentioning earlier, speaking of like wanting to train things that you're not good at and getting better at it, was takedowns. You're seeing a lot. Some people just think feel like they're good at takedowns. They kind of avoid takedowns. I've been doing a series recently called Sitting Guard and Disingenuous. Check it out, guys, on the channel. And one of the things that I've been discussing a lot on this topic is this particular content creator on YouTube. He's like, this isn't a game of takedowns. This isn't wrestling. This is a sport of grappling. Let's just grapple. Why can't I just get to the specialized place of pulling guard? Why do I have to wrestle you? Why do I have to go for the takedown? So I think that's a question that I want to pose to you. What is the importance of the takedown? Yeah, I'll just leave that there. Open it.
I don't know who that is, but I'll answer it. Because it's hard.
Oh, okay.
Because it's hard. Because you don't want to do it. That's why. That's why you got to do it. It's called discipline.
So true.
Doing what you want says nothing about discipline. It's doing what you hate that makes you discipline. And discipline is a skill you need when you want to be good at this. You want to be good at life.
Right.
You want to be good at life. You need discipline. You don't know where without this. You know. It's weird how this culture developed.
Right. Yeah.
It's so weird. Like it's like the crazy people are running the asylum.
Yeah.
You know, like how did that happen? You know what it is? I mean, social media is by nature designed to be radically democratic.
Right.
But that means white belts clicking.
Right. Right.
And a white belt, someone's been trained for 2 weeks. When they click, that click has the same power my click has. Or if you have like, Ricardo de la Riva, Carlos Gracie Jr.,
Right.
any old school guy, someone's been trained for 50 years.
Because
It's equal. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's something very, something wrong with that. Like, it's a very strange world. I mean, like, it's that they have these ideas of, like, the other day, like, I saw this post, and they were accusing gym owners of being cult leaders. Why? Because of uniforms, because you're telling them what to do, because you're trying to control their lives, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yep, I'm doing all those things. I want to make you great. For me to make you great, I got to get you in line, I can harm you. Like, someone take notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, when shit hits the fan, who do you trust?
Military.
You trust that it's military. Like, it works. Like, it's a top-down hire. That's how it works. Oh, you're a authoritarian. I'm like,
I was going to say,
that's absolutely what I am.
they're just literally mad at hierarchy.
That's what it comes down to. Because a white belt that walks into sport with that mentality, he wants to be elevated where I know.
He don't want to be told.
You need it. Free of work. My opinion counts just as much as Robert. No, it doesn't. I've been doing this for 27 years.
Right.
I know that we're equal. No, we're not. We're not equal. I'm better than you.
Right.
That's why you pay me.
100%. Yeah, exactly.
Why else would you come in? If you're better than me, why don't you open your gym across the street?
Right.
I've been doing this for 27 years. Of course I know what I'm talking about. You understand?
Oh, yes.
But it's weird because they don't admit it. It's too embarrassing to admit it. But that's what they're thinking. They're thinking like, no, I should have an opinion and do my thing. I'm like, I want you to have an opinion. I don't want to educate you before you have it. Let me teach you something about jiu-jitsu because you don't know shit.
Right.
You started 8 years ago. Someone in 8 years is young.
Yes.
8 years ago is young. You just started, bro. Oh, I'm a black belt. You're brand new. You just started learning, bro.
You're a jiu-jitsu toddler.
Bro, I've had the privilege and the honor to interview Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu's very first practitioners.
Wow.
I've interviewed like
probably
like
opening the guard. Yeah.
like 8, 9 different red belts.
Wow.
Or others out there, right? And you can't tell me that these guys know less than a purple belt who has a BJJ Fanatics account.
Right.
And memorizes a bunch of leg locks and go, yeah, I got this jiu-jitsu thing out.
Right.
You're really going to tell me that you know more than that guy's been trained in jiu-jitsu for 60 years. You really, truly believe that. And then when you say hierarchy and authority, you should need to listen to your superiors. They go, oh, you're arrogant. Really? Who's the arrogant one? The person's been training for 2 years, thinking that they know more than someone's been training for 60. Or the person's reminding you of what reality is. Like there's a hierarchy.
Right.
But the thing is, like it gets the internet through a monkey wrench.
Yeah.
Right? And because Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu evolved next to the internet, there's a clash of values. It's not clear what up and down are. It's not clear what left and right are. It's like everyone's like, what? There's no. It's very poorly defined, and the internet shapes the culture.
Right.
It's just scary because it's very inconsistent. There's nothing like. Like judo is like cemented. Like when Jigoro Kano played judo, he had the rules established. He had a blueprint written down. This is what judo is.
Almost like a manifesto.
Right. It's very up in the air. That's why it's changing all the time. It's fragmenting all the time. I personally think this is a good problem. I think there should be a little more it's difficult to define something where the jiu-jitsu strength is the fact that it's so flexible and adaptable. That is its strength.
That is true.
But if something is too adaptable, and it's like you're missing out on a lot of opportunity, a lot of structures.
It's amorphous.
Yes, it's amorphous.
Is that
exactly what it is.
word, guys?
If you look at the evolution of it, even if not even talking about the term jiu-jitsu itself, but like evolution of what we call Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you see this process. I talk about this in my book. It's a new sport every couple of decades.
Right.
I mean, people that start training now, they think, oh, it's always been this way.
No, it's not.
Completely different. But it's a problem because like not every shape that it takes will be good. Some things, some building blocks, right, from what we call old school jiu-jitsu are very important, but they're lost. I'm talking about the techniques. I'm talking about the values. Like the Creonte thing, it's a bad rep. When I moved here, like being a Creonte was an insult.
What's that mean?
Creonte was a term that Carlson Gracie borrowed from a 1980 soap opera in Brazil. There's a character that was an ingrate, right? And they called him Creonte. And he loved that. So every time there was a student that was like ungrateful, they called him Creonte. All right? Okay. And it became like a jiu-jitsu slang. Okay. And it was frowned upon. I'm like, I am a free person. I can go wherever I want. Creonte is someone that bounces around team to team, like, and is not loyal to the person you talk to.
I've noticed in some of the early stories recounting that George Gracie did a little bit of that. Is that what caused some?
No, I don't know. I mean, there was some cross training with other martial arts, which I think is fine.
Yeah, I think so too.
No, there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that you have to. I'm big on the loyalty. I think that's something that's undervalued. You can't build that trust.
Right.
If people are bouncing all over the place, you're not really creating bonds. You're creating very superficial bonds. Oh, look, we're friends on Instagram. You post a picture, I put fire.
Right.
And then I do the same we do the same for each other. Oh, that we're friends. It's like, there's nothing to do with, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about something superficial.
Right.
I'm talking about something that's at the very bottom, deep, like much deeper. And that's what's going to make this right here strong. It's a stronger bond. It means I invest in you and you invest in me. We build on each other. That's how we get better. I'm talking Khabib and Islam. That's what I'm talking about.
Like family, they're almost
like family. That's what I'm talking about. And I think that's missed in jiu-jitsu, right? Like the Creonte thing was lost. Like I think that was a good thing. I'm not saying you can't switch. I've switched teams, bro. Of course. I have.
Yeah.
I have a good relationship with every one of my coaches. How many people in jiu-jitsu that can say that?
Right.
I have a good
bridges being burned all the time
because it's always that meaning. Money, power, meaning, politics.
Right.
Like I literally have students that just wanted me to like make them famous. Like they think it's my job to promote them online. No, I am not your manager.
You have to do that yourself.
No, I think you're already worried about the wrong thing.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
If you're more worried about followers than you are about being good at jiu-jitsu, someone passing your guard in practice, your mind's already in the wrong place.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of these people didn't like jiu-jitsu for what it is. They're in it to gain something. It's a means to an end.
Be a rock star at jiu-jitsu.
It's not an end in itself. They're in high school. They're still worried about what other people think. They're trying to be cool. And I think it's a bad system. Like I think that old school jiu-jitsu, I'm not talking about the techniques, I'm talking about the values, the culture, was a better system.
I agree. No,
it was a much better, in that regard, it was a better system. Because, like, there was an investment. Like, why am I going to train with the people that want to be my brothers? Why am I going to help the people that want to beat my brothers? Think about it.
Right.
Like, look, you're going out of town or something. I'm fine with that. Like, sure. I am not. Like, I have students that tell me, Rob, I'm going to move to Henderson. There's a gym across the street from my house. I don't want to drive 45 minutes. I go, dude, no worries, bro. Love you, man. Thank you for talking to me. Not a mega woman. Yeah. But, like, it's not how the world is running. It's very selfish. It's very me. If things are the way I want them to be, then you have to change to accommodate me.
Yeah.
Like they're the center of the universe. I think the internet has cultivated a generation of narcissists. They don't care about anyone around them.
It's also fed them to become bigger narcissists as well.
They've given
the Mario cluster.
Exactly. When I was coming to jiu-jitsu, there was this term that we used. If you read my book, you probably remember this passage. I talked about this called marketeiro. Which means marketer. Marketeiro was an insult.
Oh.
So if you start taking too many pictures of yourself or like going to the press and trying to promote yourself too much, it was frowned upon. Like what is normal and commendable today in the jiu-jitsu universe was condemned in my time. Like when I was coming up, it was embarrassing. try to promote yourself. I was talking to Draculino, even older than me, like he's been around a lot longer than I have, and he said you couldn't even take a camera to the tournament.
Wow.
Because if you were, because I was asking him for a picture. The conversation started because I was asking him for pictures. Wow. From the new book, right? I'm like, I need some pictures. He's like, Rob, I have them. You know why? It was frowned upon to take pictures. Because if you showed up to a tournament with a camera, people would be like, what are you, a model or a fighter? You're a fighter. Put that camera away. Taking pictures of you. It's an extreme example, you know.
No, but
the mentality though is like it's a warrior mentality. Because I feel now it is more about popularity has become a value. It's not saying it's not important, it doesn't help. But there are benefits. I benefit from it. Like I make a living from whatever little popularity I was able to gain through this. But to make that a value above all other values, it's questionable.
Yeah.
The outcome is very questionable because people think that the end goal is to be rich and famous, not to be great. Like not to be like how, in my mind,
not to be a complete martial art. Oh,
if you're a competitor, right? If you're a competitor, your goal, you should be thinking about how do I outdo Marcus Buchecha?
Right.
He's got 13 world titles. If you're not thinking about that, you're thinking wrong. You should be thinking that guy's got 13. I'm going to be 14.
Right.
That's your mindset. What do I have to do to get 14 world titles?
Yeah.
That should be your mindset. Not like, well, what am I going to do to get my following? Bro, like you're already thinking wrong. You're not going to win a single one world title because you're already like thinking wrong. Right. And it's the focus. That's the issue of the hierarchy of values that we talk about all the time. Is that the focus shifts from important things to irrelevant things. You understand? And I think that is single-handedly the biggest hold-up in jiu-jitsu because there's a flood of technique, and there's this idea that technique is it's yes, and they're thinking that is the problem. If I only learn one more technique, and I'm like, no, you know too much. Right. That's not your problem. You know too much. Like you can't even do any of the techniques. That's the other thing. People think like 8,000 sweeps, can't do a single one of them. Who cares? Right. Like, well, everybody walks in there, taps everyone with a cross collar choke from out. Go figure. You tell me he doesn't. You don't tell me he doesn't know jiu-jitsu. Yeah, right. Because he's doing the same thing over and over. Like it's very how we've established value in jiu-jitsu is something very, very bizarre. It's all upside down.
I agree. I mean, going back to the takedown, what's the importance of that? And old school jiu-jitsu. Boyce Gracie's going for the takedown in all the UFC fights. In fact, your match with Marcelo Garcia, when you're in that, it's like just over 2 minutes. You know what I mean? It's almost entirely on the feet. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you're fighting for the takedown. You're fighting for top position. You sprawl on him. You get the Darce or Bravo choke, and that's when you finish. And then I think everybody thinks crazy. But the importance, I think, is right there in those 2 minutes of your match, like. Because you don't want to be...
Jiu-jitsu is first and foremost a martial art. That is the foundation of what we do. If we completely deviated that spiral of being just an entertainment and sport, it's not, I mean, we've seen this happen. So we saw what happened in catch wrestling. Right. Turn into pro wrestling. That's where you're going if you keep going down this road, right? I'm not saying the same thing will happen, but it's not a good pathway.
It kind of is. I mean, you got pro wrestling started jumping off the top turnbuckle, and I feel like a lot of jiu-jitsu players are like doing a lot of jumping because
entertainment, because a higher value in efficiency, and I'm critical of that. Yeah. Because if you're obsessed with efficiency, perhaps you don't love jiu-jitsu that much. Because if you love jiu-jitsu for what it is and as it is, who cares if it's entertainment? It's a secondary thought. In fact, it should be a non-existent thought. Like, great if it is, but if it isn't, I'm fine because I love what it is for what it is as an end in itself. Okay. I am critical of people that look at it as a means to it. I think those are they should not be leading the sport. And I think there are a lot of people that are in positions that follow the sport and they're steering the sport in the wrong direction. And I think this will compromise the integrity of the art. In time, it will lose value. And when it has no value, we're going to spit it out and move on to the next fad. Which it's happened before. We're watching it happen again.
In fact, that actually is perfect segue to the next question. What do you think of sitting guard? People sitting guard. What do you think about that in competition? Sitting of guard.
Like just pulling guard at the end of the match. Look, I made if you watch my matches from like white to brown, that's all I did.
Yes, right.
So but it's one of those things. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Right? Me personally, I think should be penalized.
Yeah, I think so too.
Penalized or something. because you are avoiding a fundamental aspect of the game. It's like, oh, why can't I do that? Going back to that YouTube question. I'm sure it's a free country, but it's problematic when you're setting it on a path where people get what they want all the time. And because people, if you always give people what they want, they're always going to shape it to make it easier and easier and easier and easier until it loses all value. Because if everyone is a black belt, what's the value?
Well, that's right.
It's all value. It is precious precisely because it's hard. It is the difficulty that makes it unique. It is something that is difficult to attain that makes it important. Martial arts should be difficult. If it is to have value, it should be difficult. It should not be difficult. It should be like, you know what, you can't handle it, we're not lowering the standards for you. Which is a problem with the popularity of the jiu-jitsu.
I agree.
If everyone comes in, then it loses value. You understand?
Oh, most definitely.
It has to be difficult, so we shouldn't make it easy. We shouldn't make it, oh, I can't handle it. Go with a different martial art, but you can't compromise the integrity of our what we have, because we have something special here. We have to maintain it, keep it down. I think that the lack of concern for takedowns is a symptom of a much bigger problem.
What do you think that problem is specifically?
I think that people don't see. I'm not sure that people enter jiu-jitsu with the intention of improving on themselves.
Becoming a martial artist.
Yes, I think it's more about
A sports player.
yes. What can I gain out of it? It's more like, oh, it's fashionable. And look, most practitioners just want to work out. They probably don't even know what I'm talking about. That's not important to them.
Right.
But those are the people that, if Joe Rogan switches over to different martial art tomorrow, they're gonna, jump ship just like that. I'll
Right.
be doing this until the day I die.
Right.
So I look at it different. This is my life. This is what I love. This is what I'm committed to. It's all I know. So my thing is like, I worry about the longevity of the sport because like I would like it to improve, and I think there's a lot of things we can do. But I think that there's a degree of corruption on many levels in terms of people that are doing this for the wrong reasons. I think that leadership shouldn't submit to popular demand for too much. I think there's a balance there because I think that if people will chew it up and spit it out, and then once it moves, it's all it's gone. I think it's if you let the crazy people run the asylum, they would make the asylum crazy. There has to be a degree of like, this is what jiu-jitsu is, this is our culture, this is what the values are, and I think leadership should stand firm in that, and they don't. And I'm not talking about any organization or individual specifically. I'm talking about in general. Like there's a chapter in my second book, The Americanization of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu by Brazilians. It started then when they came here. Like all these things that were like, sacrosanct in Brazil, all these values, they immediately changed because they saw an opportunity to put dollars.
Right.
I'm included. I'm not saying I'm part of the solution. I'm as much part of the problem as anyone else.
But it's in some ways part of the solution too, I think.
I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
These guys know what I'm talking about. They admit it, and they know it, but they're like, "Yeah, but the money was too good, Rob." I'm like, it's not. Yeah, sure, it is important, but it's not the only thing. There are other things you got to consider. I would like this to have value in the future, and I see it going in a direction where I kind of feel like jiu-jitsu is becoming what it used to be in the States.
I most definitely I see it going the way of karate, like sports karate, which has become a joke. But karate is such a full martial art.
It's not a karate is you're absolutely I know hardcore karate guys.
Yeah.
Those guys, I was talking to some of them, a friend of mine, like back in the 70s, we knocked each other out in practice.
Yes.
It was hard. It was like MMA sparring.
Mm-hmm.
But once you put that once it becomes fun, it's like something you want to bring everyone, it becomes a business all of a sudden. You know what I noticed? I'm not going to mention names, but it's like high places, people in high places in jiu-jitsu leadership. They stop calling the student a student. They call them clients.
Clients. Interesting.
Like client. Or a client might be in Portuguese. I'm translating from Portuguese. Customer might be a more accurate translation.
Wow.
And that I think says a lot about.
Yeah.
Hold up here. What? Like what happened? When did that happen? Like it was a very subtle change in of language there. Where like now
the framing.
Yes, but I think what the framing is, it is descriptive. I think it highlights something that perhaps they would not be too proud to highlight if they were to have an honest conversation, because they give themselves away. that they're looking at jiu-jitsu not as an end in itself, but as a means to an end. And I think it's the use of language in that case makes it very clear what that end is.
Follow-up question on the sitting of guard. You were using that term in Portuguese,
Malandrage.
malandrage. Am I saying that?
Yeah.
Malandrage. Is sitting guard a example of that?
It can be. It's always funny because like if you're Brazilian, you have no problem understanding the concept, but it's very difficult to explain it to non-Brazilians because it's something so ingrained in Brazilian culture. Like it's very present in soccer. Like when the guy throws himself on the ground.
Oh,
like,
yes.
That's Malandrage. He's trying to give the other player a red card.
Yeah.
Malandrage.
Playing the game.
Is it lying? Sometimes, not always.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's not. Is it dishonest? Sometimes, not always. Like it's not like dishonesty is not it's not a translation.
Right.
Because it's not accurate. It is flirting with like just doing things on the very edge of what you can get away with. Right? It's very ingrained in the culture. Some of it is unethical, but you can't describe it as unethical because a lot of it isn't.
Right. Right.
So it's not descriptive.
It's playing the game. Gaming it almost. I don't know.
Yeah, like you know, it's like you're selling something to someone, and maybe you don't tell them that there's a broken heart.
Okay. Okay.
Like that's the unethical part. That'll be malandrage, but it'll be an unethical approach. It's not an easy word to translate. It's I think I was talking to someone the other day, and they had an equivalent word in their language. I don't remember what language it was. There was an equivalent word, but like I can't think of what it is.
Okay. All right, guys, in the comments, if you feel like you know the equivalent word, put it in the comments. Right, that's what they say in YouTube videos. 2 more questions, and I got like a lightning round, like 3 questions. What do you think of Kron Gracie's performance at UFC 310?
I didn't watch both his last matches. I didn't watch the whole fight, but I saw that he pulled guard in both. Okay?
Yeah.
And before I say that pulling guard is an awful idea, which I think it is, let's remind ourselves that we've seen it used successfully.
That's true.
So there's this thing in MMA where I call it the Anthony Pettis paradigm.
Okay.
Right? Whenever Anthony Pettis jumped off the fence, spinning kick, knocked out Ben Henderson, WEC.
Yeah. Showtime kick. He didn't knock him out, but I mean, he knocked him to the ground.
He knocked him out, didn't he?
No, just to the ground. Just ground. Ben Henderson, he got up.
Okay.
But everybody,
okay.
I think the same thing. I'm like, oh, he knocked him out.
So
Same.
to my point, had he, let's say he jumped, slipped, and knocked himself out instead of Ben Henderson, you would have called him an idiot.
Absolutely.
But because he dropped Ben Henderson, he's a genius.
Yeah.
So which one is it? Is he a genius or is he an idiot?
An idiot savant.
Had Kron Gracie jump guard and arm guard his opponent both occasions, he'd be a genius.
Yes, agreed.
And then you would have a legion of
Right.
new MMA fighters going, that's what I'm going to do in my next fight. And everyone's going to start arm bars. All of a sudden, the arm bar works now. It didn't work before.
Right.
All of a sudden, because someone did it, people are they're guided by fashion, man. It's like, dude, I love that movie Moneyball.
Moneyball.
You know what? The baseball player, the coach, that he like started hiring people.
Oh, yeah, Brad Pitt.
So, but that's my point,
Right?
Yes, because if you shouldn't look at fashion, tradition, and opinion. Opinions, what are opinions? We're wrong all the time. Look at the numbers, guys, right? So the armbar has always been efficient. But if you're in a fight, and you're at a high level in UFC where people actually know what an armbar is. We're not talking Royce Gracie days.
Right.
Where
Where
Gracie and
no
Action
one's seen an armbar.
where no one, everyone's like, always funny when people are like, man, but Hickson was tapping all those wrestlers with triangles. And I'm like, where's the merit of tapping someone with a triangle? A move that they've never seen before.
Right.
I'm
It's
like,
illegal in wrestling.
it's like, how would they know? Like, there's no merit. Like, like if you put a guy your level in a triangle, that's merit. Putting a guy that's never seen a triangle before in a triangle says nothing about your jiu-jitsu.
Right. No, I agree.
Like, and it's like, but that's when Royce was like, I think Royce is a hero of mine for what he did and what he symbolizes. But we know that those guys are not grappling experts. In the UFC today, everyone is a better grappler than those guys that were fighting Royce and things. Every single one of them.
Yep.
You're not going to get away with it. I mean, we've seen Aoki do it recently, and he was successful.
Oh, yeah, right.
I don't teach it. Like, I fought MMA, like, I should do it. But I think I kind of missed a takedown and pulled guard, but I pulled him into an armbar. I'm not proud of that. I'm not saying you should do that.
Right.
Okay? But, I mean, it can work. I
can,
did armbar the guy, right? But As a coach, I would say absolutely.
Yeah, I would
Get on top. My approach to jiu-jitsu from MMA is Khabib's, like Dagestan wrestling. They call it sambo. To me, it looks like jiu-jitsu. It's more than it looks like sambo.
Grappling.
It's very, ground and pound oriented. Punch your way into a submission. Get on top, stay on top. That's always been, it's a Carlson Gracie understanding of MMA. MMA. It's my view. I think that's what you should be. If you're a grappler, that's the style you want to have. You want to be like Islam. You want to be like, that's the style.
You want to dominate on top, make them carry your weight.
Get on top, stay on top, ground and pound, rear naked choke, keep it simple, it works.
I agree. I 100% agree. Kron Gracie, I was just a little bit disappointed to see him.
Kron is a good grappler.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a good grappler.
Absolutely.
I think he needs to spend, I don't know if he's going to come back from that. Certainly not in the UFC, probably got cut. But if he is to continue to make career, he needs to spend a lot of time clinching and wall wrestling. Look, Damien did that. Damien was not a good wrestler.
Yeah.
But he spent a lot of time wrestling and working on that fence to the point where he became a good wrestler for MMA, not in wrestling competition, but like
One of the greatest grapplers in MMA history.
and yes, and Damien's not even the most athletic guy. That's the other thing.
Right. He's never explosive. He was never.
He's no Jacare. Like Jacare is a beast of an athlete. Like,
He's from Orlando, that guy.
he is a different breed. Like I've done conditioning with Jacare. It's like dude, I left the weight room almost crying.
Wow.
Like holy shit, man. Like fuck.
Is he still at the Fusion XL over in Orlando?
I think he's at his own convention.
Oh, he's got his own gym now? Where's he at? Where is he?
He's in Florida somewhere. I'm not sure where.
I gotta check that out.
And so like, but Damien's never been a athletic guy, but he made it work because he's adapted his jiu-jitsu with ball wrestling. I think Kron should pursue that route. Like that's the correct.
Right. That's the blueprint. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's
like a Jigoro Kano to Damian Maya blueprint right there.
of what it is that you're doing. I don't think he's training. I don't know, but like I think his mind is definitely in the wrong place. I think he might be trying to just like, like I am my father's son.
Right.
I'm gonna fight for tradition and jiu-jitsu's guard. And my grandpa said that you can defend yourself in guard. Your grandpa was not fighting professional UFC fighters.
Right.
Like let's keep that in mind.
And Nixon wrestled. Nixon went for takedowns. He didn't jump. Did he jump guard?
I don't.
He wore- he
I
wore-
know.
he wore-
Hugo never jumped guard.
He always wore those 2 white knee pads. He was going for takedowns.
Yeah. He always on top. Never saw it. But true. Taking him down. Yeah.
So I don't know why is Kron? I don't. I love Kron. You know what I mean? Someone, Chael saw him call him a pothead, and I was like, it's not a pothead.
Yeah, I think he needs to spend more time in wall wrestling.
I agree. Okay. Last question, and then we'll go into the lightning round real quick. I know you're talking about the making of the sport more viewer friendly may not be the best goal for people running it, but if I could ask, what does BJJ need to do to become more popular as a spectator sport?
I think it's important. I think it's a wrong question. No offense.
No.
But like I think it should be a secondary thought. It's kind of like, you go like you go somewhere and like you get like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example here. I don't know. It's like getting a toy to a Happy Meal.
It was that bad.
It's not a good example. Like it doesn't. It's not why we do jiu-jitsu. It's not the purpose of what we should be asking. How do we make jiu-jitsu a better educational system? How does this improve on the individual, morally, intellectually, and physically?
Okay.
That should be the word. That to me is a much. I agree. Wow, purpose. It's a much more relevant because the entertainment thing comes down to money, right? And it's like, sure, it is important, but like if you're already looking at that as the most important thing, you're already looking the wrong direction. Looking the wrong way, right? It's because first of all, the money doesn't benefit the community. Well, what the fighters are making more money? Who are these people making more money? Half a dozen people, a dozen people. Like, it's not benefiting the community. I'm not against it. Like, I'm not against people. I mean, it's good to have professional events. Oh, true, but not at any cost.
Right.
I think that once you start making decisions that pitch that as the highest purpose, a lot of the incorrect values
Become the center of what you're.
because now selling out, being a backstabber is okay.
Wow.
Betraying people is okay. Insulting people online is
Burying
okay.
them.
like you saw McGregor and Khabib, insulting his religion, his family, his country. That's not okay, man.
Right.
Like when Khabib takes that personal, I'm like, respect.
Right.
Because I end up saying, like, that's not okay. That's not funny. Oh, we're just trying to sell the fight. Fuck you.
Right. He took it to another level. It was not entertaining.
And that's just an extreme example. That's an extreme example. But all of it is wrong. Right? It's very simple. Would you want your children behaving disrespectfully towards other people?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Okay, so if we applaud and we watch and we buy from and we put their posters on the wall and we herald them as heroes, children are watching. They're learning something. You're teaching them something. Are those good role models? So when I see a guy like, every time I see, and you know what's funny? Like I was arguing with someone. I don't argue with people online anymore, but
I do all the time.
I don't anymore. I've given up. It's hopeless. But he basically made a comment. He's like, oh, you're just jealous of so and so because of the money they made. And I go, and I'm always like one of those people. Like I'm always willing to concede that I might be wrong about something, or that I'd be blind to something, blind spot. Maybe I am jealous. Yeah, I'm jealous because I didn't make a lot of money from the MMA. Like maybe I am jealous. So I started thinking, like, you have to put that hypothesis to test.
Right.
Then I'm like, pull it up here, man.
Especially with the Carlson Gracie thing you were covering in your book. Like a lot of his students kind of.
Oh yeah. So, but so I'm thinking to myself, like, am I jealous? Am I envious of these people? And I go, I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. I think that's wrong. That's not true. Because when I see Boucher, every time I see Boucher, and I'm not close to him. We have a lot of friends in common. He's always been respectful towards me. I always look at God, every time I see him, I go,
Yeah.
It's never crossed my mind to be that fucking guy's made more money than he's won more all the time.
I'm just gonna.
I'm always very like I admire the guy. If I see Roger Grace, the guy smoking in competition. Every time I see the guy or I see him on YouTube, he comes up or something, I'm like,
Yeah.
like in my heart, I never feel like, oh, I wish that guy fails. I'm always happy for these because I know how hard they work and I know they deserve. But also, above all, I believe they represent the values that I would like to see to be descriptive of jiu-jitsu. I don't think Conor McGregor values should be descriptive of the art because we have children in the sport. If my children behave like Conor McGregor, I'd smack them. I would not tolerate that. Like I don't want you to. I don't care. I don't care. Even if every little 13-year-old were to become a billionaire one day doing that, it still would not be acceptable, in my opinion. Right? Because you have to have a degree of responsibility. I hope I don't sound like I'm moralizing. It's not my intention. Well, perhaps I am, but at some point, I think you have to a little bit. You have to judge him. At some point, we have to step in and judge him. I don't think these people are good at role models. A lot of these people what they're doing and I don't think they have a concern for the future. It's very irresponsible. It's like me all the time. Like I'm gonna make money now. Like I like Craig. I think Craig's hilarious. But I don't think it's good for the sport that he walks in there drinking alcohol, teabagging a girl. He
did that?
He's grappling a girl.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
He makes a lot of jokes about snorting.
And I personally and the problem is that kids are watching, and I'm going, is that because your kids when they see 1 million likes, they go, that is what good is.
Right.
You create a hierarchy of values. You understand?
Right. Hierarchy of values. Wow.
And then you see a guy like Roger Grace, for example, who's won way more than everyone else. Like, except there are people who won more than him. Like, very dominant. Or Boucher, for example. He has less likes. And a child's mind who is, living in social media land, that hierarchy is created. X is better than Y. You understand?
Right.
And when they start behaving, because now they're assimilating those values, they're learning. Children don't learn by what you say doesn't matter much. Kids go by what you do and what, you're creating a hierarchy, right? Your children are learning. If you're in a car and they're listening to certain music, you don't like this or here. Your 4-year-old daughter is listening. You listen to Cardi B in your car.
Yeah.
Your 4-year-old, 5-year-old daughter, she's picking up, well, daddy likes it. That's what daddy wants. Okay, that's what daddy wants.
Maybe Cardi B doesn't let her children listen to her music.
That's smart. That's a good mom.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? But when you do that, we don't realize because it just makes its way into your daily life. I'm not saying I'm a perfect parent, but you have to be aware of these things. So as an instructor, as jiu-jitsu representatives, everyone who's teaching jiu-jitsu should be aware of these things. because your children are watching.
Right.
No, I'm not saying that this noisy minority on the internet are like scripted or it's gonna be. I think it really is just that a noisy minority, but they are noisy and they have a lot of traction online. As a result, they're able to shape culture, and I don't think they're shaping jiu-jitsu culture into something better.
I agree.
I think it's for themselves, and they will make a lot of money from this. But as a community, we should look at that. Is this what's best? Future of the art moving forward. Is this is what we want? I am totally against it. I've picked fights with these people for a decade. I've been picking a fight. It's to the point where I don't, you know what? I'm just going to write my books. I want to read them, great. If they don't, that's also fine. But I don't, you know, it's almost like swimming against the current because, you know, it's people, some people might be listening to this and go like, this is so boring, Rob. I just want to be entertained. My answer is always go watch Dave Chappelle, bro.
Right.
Like, go watch a comedy, man. Go like, jiu-jitsu's not, this is not, it's, you're losing its main strength, what it has most, the strongest, you know, value, is being lost over entertainment. The thing with entertainment is you always got to raise the bar. You never entertain less.
Right.
So
It's always going to go
you
beyond.
got to raise the bar. Now, the next thing is mud wrestling. It's not going to stop. Because once you go down that road, you have to give people more and more and more. And it's what happened to catch wrestling. You want to keep entertaining? That is more important.
It's more entertaining to see the same people go at it in a scripted way than them get hurt and not be able to see them again.
So that is, you know, that you're going down that direction. You know, and I think it's hard to recover from that as martial art. So I think it's might be too late even, man. It might be. I don't think this is it. You know, it's just I think when I have this, I joke around on my second book in the production. I go, you're like if you're a historian, you're an impotent idealist. You know, because you just want things to be different, but you know they're not. You know, so I tell myself, you know, at least you register the moment. That's all you can do is just like bear witness. You're like, oh, this is what happened in jiu-jitsu. But it used to be like, you know, it could have been this, this, and that. It became this, this, and that. Because that's what you're doing at this point. Because you can't, dude, you can't. It's just, it's overwhelming at this point, man. Like, and like this idea of making jiu-jitsu professional is like you're compromising a lot of things in the process. I agree. I'm not I like money, man. I like all these things. I'm not saying I don't. But I think that not at any cost. Like there's some other things we should be taking into account here. You know, and you're setting this a very pernicious hierarchy of values that I don't think jiu-jitsu will benefit from in the future.
No, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. I think the way I see it from another angle. I see it like this. I think the money is creating a incentive for people to look at the rule set to make it more legitimate. Not just appealing, but more legitimate. Like, for instance, CJI was had rules where we're like supine guard on your back, stall. You know, and the ref, who I think was Shaolin, right? Shaolin was the ref. If they felt like you were stalling, they'd stand you up or make you wrestle. And I felt like they're trying some stuff out. I think ultimately, what you were talking about being a full martial artist and people going to be playing the game Malandrage. If they don't create a rule that says, you know, if you don't pursue the other person, you just sit there and the other person, and you don't like, I don't know. The way I see it, if someone pulls and disengages from you and you're on the ground, and they turn around, they wave you up, or they pull away, you should immediately try to get to your feet, because that's what you do in real life. You're not going to stay on the feet and be like, okay, well, get in my guard, like that meme back in the day, the beginning of I'm going to give you a triple pecker record. So get in my guard.
I'll give you a little, you know, you sort of like all little history of catch wrestling, right? I didn't know anything about it.
Oh, no, I'm loving it.
But there's one little piece of history. I know, this is wonderful about Federa's latest books. Did you know that during the Great Depression, there were catch wrestling / judo / jiu-jitsu submission grappling matches.
Right.
That would fill arenas with over 10,000 people.
Wow.
Cash purses, prizes of over $47,000 today.
$47,000
in today's money.
Wow.
I bet it's money in today's money.
Wow.
Right? This is in the 1930s, right? So it was
During the Great Depression.
This what we're witnessing now is not new. This has happened like almost 100 years ago. We were going through all this, right? They went down that bandwagon of like, we're gonna entertain. What happened to catch wrestling?
It became professional wrestling. Yeah.
because once you can't stop that. Then you look at something like judo. Judo went the opposite direction.
It became.
Form of education. That's what you grow common time.
That's what he wanted. Yeah, the
That's what he
Kodokan.
wanted. That's what he wanted.
All studying judo.
I mean, do you want your children to act like pro wrestlers, or do you want them to go? You've seen like what judo is. It's like, dude, it's super. It's world respect. Not only that, they're not going anywhere.
Right.
Judo's been the same martial art. I mean, technically, it's changing. The rules change, but like its core principles, its blueprint is essentially the same. It's written out, right? I think they're going. I think 200 years from now, judo will still be around. Who knows what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu will be?
Right.
Because it's amorphous, like you would describe.
Yeah.
Judo was not like so.
It's gonna. I think it's gonna fragment into a whole bunch of different things that they still call Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
But it'll be like, flavors, if you
We
will.
already have that, bro.
Yeah,
Like, you have,
exactly,
like,
exactly.
A bunch of flavors of jiu-jitsu now. I can't keep up with it's not one thing anymore.
Right.
We
It's not.
It's like jiu-jitsu has always been a very like eclectic. Sport, it's always been that. It's more than ever. But I think once you go down that road, I think it's like who, I mean, is it really that important that you have to watch jiu-jitsu? It's got to be fun for people that don't understand jiu-jitsu. Like I'll watch a match that people call boring. Like there's some matches between Rafael Mendes and Cobrinha that were super slow.
Right.
Oh, there's a world going on there. Like I see them, but if you're a beginner, you don't. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe jiu-jitsu's not for you. You have to. You see what lowering the bar is? Entertainment is just another word for lowering the bar. Instead of getting people to better understand jiu-jitsu, which is raising the bar, raising people, this is the standard. You have to understand jiu-jitsu, appreciate high-level jiu-jitsu. Boring or not is irrelevant. People have to get to here. Instead, the masses are here.
You want to lower,
Lower so people can get excited.
so you can make money off.
It's entertainment is just another word for low.
I agree.
And I'm like, no, if you can't keep up, okay, but we're gonna lose 2/3 of our customers. Right? I'm like, I think so what? Like you know why I don't this things don't bother me, man? Because when 80% of my jiu-jitsu life, maybe not 80%, like I've been in this gym 17 years old. Half of it, right? Like a good half of it maybe. It's not like we're like, you don't want to be broke, but like it's not like
You're an artist, started artist.
Yeah, well,
Artist is gonna start.
What I see, man. This is the issue. I see this panic, like this crazy race to the top, where people just do anything. Like, and I'm watching some of these leaders, like some jiu-jitsu leadership, and what they do now, and like how they're like, they call it professionalization, where they're like basically buying athletes from other teams, like they do in professional teams.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's, man, you're teaching awful things to them.
That's happening now.
It's common. It's all over the place. I think it's bad. I don't think it's good.
No, yeah. I mean, isn't that like coaching?
It's teaching people that it's okay to turn your back on people and that raised you, right? For money, like what is more important? That is a higher value more than like loyalty. Like, it's funny. Like this has happened during the election time in Brazil. It's the same people that are preaching this, like it's okay to buy and sell athletes. When it comes to election time in Brazil, we're talking about patriotism, the need for Brazil to be patriotic. I'm not going to mention names, but I'm always like watching these things. I'm like, interesting because patriotism is a form of loyalty.
Right. Yeah.
Right. It's good. Loyalty
To the country.
to the republic that brought you up.
Right.
It's my country. This is my. You're proud of your environment where you grew up. These are my people. Right. But if you're teaching someone that it's okay to turn your back on your coach and your team, presumably for money, right? Then it's okay to do the same thing for your family. And if it's okay, and if it's okay to turn your back on it, then it's okay. It's okay to do the same thing. Why not? Why not sell it? Why not turn? So you put the wrong values in place. You just put that it's okay as long as you make money, anything's okay. Everything else is secondary. You understand? It's a very unethical approach to things.
Yeah.
I'm not. Again, I hope I don't sound like I'm moralizing, but it's not my intention. But you notice this thing. It's very obvious that this is happening. So when I watch these guys talking about patriotism and like the next time call jiu-jitsu students like customers, I'm always like, and like not teach loyalty and just like, just be a sellout and go wherever the money is. It's just these values are conflicting to me. Like, dude, you're not being very consistent. Which one is?
Yeah, martial arts has always been about, and I think that throughout this entire interview, you've definitely discussed honor, duty, loyalty, discipline. You know what I mean? These are all things that you're talking about. These kind of missing as things move forward, and white belts democratize it and
Yeah.
kind of make it this lowest common denominator type of thing. Oh, and also just want to say that Hoffa, Cobrinha matches, people always complain that they're boring because they're going for the takedown and they're not giving up, they're not pulling guard and giving up the
That
right?
is the boring stuff. I told my students never watch a highlight.
Right.
The boring stuff
Is where everything
is the important stuff.
Mm.
You want to be good at jiu-jitsu? Don't watch highlights. The boring stuff is the important. Those are the gems.
Right.
Because that's where like most of like the highest level jiu-jitsu is really seen. It's not in the flashy flying arm bars. Like, I mean, yeah, they're fun to watch, but it's like, I don't know, man. Like I never looked at jiu-jitsu that way.
Right.
I never. This is why to me I'm at odds with a lot of that because it's like, who cares?
Right.
Why do you care if it's entertaining? Like, I don't understand the obsession with entertainment.
We've
We're too entertaining. We have too much entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is not lack of entertainment. We have too much entertainment.
Right.
We're
Right.
missing other things, you know?
Yeah.
Entertainment should be like, dude, we got too much of it, man. I turn on my phone, I got a gazillion things that can entertain on my phone. There's like one thing that fits in my pocket.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
got a TV at home. You know what I'm saying? I got so much entertainment.
Radio in the car.
So much entertainment. We need less, not more. You know, dude, like read a book every now and then, but seriously,
Right. Right.
you know, get off your phone and read a book.
Read Robert Drysdale's book, Open and Close Guard. All right, all right. I think we've gotten through. No, not I think we've gotten through the major questions. Just gonna go through a quick, boom, boom, boom. First question: your evolution and rise of jiu-jitsu. Discussed Vale Tudo.
Yeah.
What is the effect Luta Livre had in its parallel come up with BJJ?
It evolved side by side. There was definitely some, because as catcher and wrestling, the submission grappling matches were popular in the United States in the 30s, 40s. They were also popular in Brazil. So there's a lot of cross training, borrowing. In Brazil, Brazilians still refer to the armbar as army walking.
Army lock.
Army walking.
Wow.
You know? The knee bar is leggy locking.
Leggy locking.
Right? The American, it's not named after Bob Anderson. That's actually not correct. But there's a 1951 article where a journalist was already describing the Kimura as an Americana. So it's much older, 1951. Way
Wow.
before, yeah. So,
So it's like
that's a myth.
It's referring it to like the double wrist lock, basically.
Yes, the wrist lock.
Wow.
They call it the Americana.
Wow. Oh, because it's American.
Probably got
or
it.
maybe
From,
the American.
probably got it from some traveling catch wrestler.
Wow.
That's my guess, but I don't know for sure. But my point is, well, clearly, well, I mean, it's some army locking. I mean, there's an angle of influence in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that is undeniable.
Right. Right.
I mean, I presume catch wrestling, but I don't know
could be.
whether the source it could be. You
Right.
know? But you know, that's the. I mean, that would be at least some influence. That's I think some evidence of influence.
I agree. I think that there's evidence. There's little notes here and there that if you kind of put them together, there's like a shadow or a form of. I see. That represents this influence of American wrestling, catch wrestling, and other arts. Second question. Discussing white belt, the changing of culture, Carlson, the beach culture, ripped dudes. What do you think about the weed culture in BJJ? It's becoming a real big thing. You got Eddie Bravo, 10th Planet.
It's always been there, man. It's not
Oh, really? In Brazil too?
No, Brazilians are mad. Those guys, that beach. When I say beach culture in jiu-jitsu, include weed in that.
Okay.
It's always been a thing. It's not new. Eddie is not like revolutionizing anything.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
This is. It had to do with a rebellious youth in Brazil that was fed up with the military. What was the 60s? What were the 60s and 70s in the U.S. like?
Oh, counterculture.
Same thing. Brazil's just a little behind. Like you put like a decade behind.
Oh, okay. So like the 50s and it was like the 60s
Pretty
and
much.
70s.
Pretty much.
Okay, I could definitely see that. I guess so. So it's already had its effect since Carlson, on that like laid back, you come in here when you're late type of thing. I could already see that.
Not that these guys are in favor of it. Like Carlson was not in favor of weed, but the demographic they were drawing from, the surfers, is a big part of like the surf influence in jiu-jitsu was huge.
Rash guards, all this.
Well, not just that. Like the surfers were brawlers. Like, it was like a Hawaiian. Like you go to Hawaii and you pick the wrong way. Like
You want to scrap?
The same thing.
Oh, really?
Not like
All Brazil or just Rio?
some parts of Rio is very territorial. So these surfers, the fights were breaking out on the beach all the time.
Wow.
So jiu-jitsu was like the surfers were recruiting a lot of the original jiu-jitsu practitioners. So yeah, those guys smoked.
Wow.
So that where they were recruiting was they were recruiting a lot of potheads basically.
That's freaking awesome. That, I feel like that's like one day I'm gonna write a book and it's gonna be about that. And in my forward, I'm gonna mention this. So moving forward, you got weed culture. Now you got PED culture in BJJ.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of discussion on it. You know, Gordon Ryan and Mike Musumeci have been going. Musumeci?
Mutsumetsu, I believe.
I'm like, I kind of like that guy, but sometimes I don't. What do you think of this whole PED culture? Obviously, Brazil, it's available over the counter, right?
I don't anymore. Used to be. I don't think it is anymore. I've heard it's like. I mean, dude, I remember I'm 17. I don't think same things are.
Wow, 17. Let's say 17
I've
years.
visited, but I haven't lived there.
Oh, okay. There's all these like.
It's not as. There's a thing in the U.S. Man, you can buy that thing.
Right.
You don't think, oh, it's not over the counter. Yeah, you can go to any gym and like find the first meathead.
Yeah,
hey, bro. You know, like.
I mean, internet. It's available on the internet, guys.
Yeah, it's not difficult, I suppose. But I don't know, man. I'm ambiguous about it because I think the conversation, first of all, is had amongst journalists and fans and people that are not equipped to have a conversation. I think that's part of the problem. People don't understand it.
They don't. Yeah, they think they think it's gonna turn you into the Incredible Hulk or something.
And exactly, and I think the conversation should be had amongst endocrinologists, coaches. You know, I think either fighters are not, but I think coaches and endocrinologists are. It's just weird, like how we hire the experts to talk about these things. I remember, like the commission is always my favorite example. You go to an athletic commission, it's all a bunch of attorneys.
Yeah, just.
And I always think it's odd, like why they have, I think, attorneys are the right people for the job. Like, why not a plumber?
I don't know.
They're just as qualified.
Yeah, they're just as qualified.
I mean, a plumber is no less qualified than an attorney.
For our sports athletic commission, yeah, you're right.
It always be like should be coaches, and in the case of PDs, endocrinologists, because there's a legitimate argument. And I've never heard a counter argument for reasons of fairness that it is. I think some people should be on PDs.
I think so.
Because if your testosterone is a huge factor. It's not
Oh
the
my
only
God,
factor.
super.
All right, it's like okay, so why do we have weight scales?
Right. Why do we have weight classes?
Why do we have weight classes? For purpose of
Right.
fairness.
Fairness.
Right, so the lightweight is not fighting someone because weight is a factor. Much like weight, testosterone is also a factor.
Well, probably even more so. Probably.
I would argue, like red blood cells.
Mm.
All right. Now the reason why we easily agree on weight scales because weight scales are very cheap, practical, objective, no thrills, no bullshit, easy way to measure an advantage. Put them on a scale, you're 10 pounds heavier, you have an advantage. Right, testosterone is more complicated because the P doesn't say a thing about it.
Right.
If some people don't know this, you're not going to measure anything with P.
No, you gotta get blood.
P, yes. P is only measuring total testosterone, which
Yeah,
is a
right.
metric of you took something exogenous, but it says nothing about your actual performance. A lot of people don't understand this.
Right.
Right. Free testosterone determine how much your performance. Like, for example, I failed a drug test. My free testosterone level was like just over 400, which is like
No, that's,
lower end of the average.
that's like an average dude.
400, I think it's nanomilligrams per decimilliliter, right? Which is like a normal. That's my free testosterone. It's like, where's the advantage?
That's on the lower side.
Where is the advantage if my levels are on par with the average?
Right.
So the UFC's original system was a much better system. I mean, there were minutes that would have did TUE, right? So as long as you're within a range, I think it was like 500 to 1,000, whatever it was, you were okay, which that's the human average.
I think was it Giant Silva kind of ruined it. Giant Silva and Vita Belfort kind
A bunch
of
of people, but the thing is, if your free testosterone level is not super high, right, then I don't see a problem with it. And
I
but
agree.
the thing is, the blood is a difficult. It's messy because if you're in MMA, when are you going to withdraw blood? Before or after the fight?
Right.
Who wants to lose blood before a fight?
Right.
And after a fight, you create a problem with the guy's bleeding already. You going to take more blood out of him?
Right.
Like it creates a pickle that is logistical, technical, but has nothing to do with fairness. So the conversation is already having in the wrong sphere.
It's not about fairness.
It's nothing to do with fairness. Is it a logistical?
Is
problem?
my back covered?
Yeah.
In case something happens. That's why it's all lawyers.
It's yes, exactly. The lawyers come in because it's like they shouldn't be part of the conversation. They don't belong in the conversation. This is a conversation for coaches and endocrinologists. Why are we bringing attorneys into this conversation? Oh, because they're smart people. They're not that smart.
No.
They're just got a technical. They have a technical language
Yes.
that only they understand.
They're
There's a lot of professions like that. Okay,
Yeah.
There's a lot of professions like that. This complicated language. They act like they know something you don't. But it's. I think that for reasons of fairness, we should consider PD for professional sports for the same reason we have weight classes.
I agree.
For the same reason. And I've never heard people sometimes I've made this argument to people. And people are like, oh, that's absurd. I'm like, give me a rational argument why that is absurd. And they get confused because I'm making sense. Like, if you were deficient in vitamin C, no one would angry at an athlete
For taking vitamin
for taking a vitamin C. Like, oh, you're cheating. I'm like,
That's on the USADA ban list.
it's like, well, if I'm deficient, that's what medicine is for.
Yeah.
Now, I think that if your levels are through the roof, your free testosterone, which urine does not measure, then yes, I think that there should be limits, right? But a guy like, for instance, Ngannou, where do you think his natural testosterone levels are?
Probably near the max.
1,000,
Yeah.
Like naturally,
Yeah.
right? Without taking anything. I'm like, you want to talk about fairness? Let's have that conversation.
Yeah. You should,
I mean,
be allowed to fight.
If we have weight classes and we don't have that conversation, let's talk about red blood cells, which might be even bigger than testosterone. Huge.
Oxygen level, all these things.
Huge.
Right.
But it's not part of the conversation for technical, logistical reasons. Nothing to do with fairness. And these things come up on my Instagram sometimes. Like Mike, you argue with Gordon, and I'm like, they're having a conversation in the wrong place.
Right.
It's the wrong conversation. They're asking the wrong questions.
I agree.
It's nothing like if fairness is the intent, let's have that on. But bring the professionals in. Stop asking journalists. Stop asking attorneys and fans. No offense, you shouldn't have an opinion. Like, you don't know anything about anything. Like, I'm serious. Like, stop reading the headlines and acting like you know what you're talking about.
Right.
Like, seriously, go. I mean, you think I'm not obviously a doctor or an expert. Read it on. I had to learn what is it. What is free testosterone?
Right.
What's the difference between free total and epitestosterone? They're the different things. I'm not, dude. Like, it's a small effort, but at least understand the terms before you walk into a conversation with a strong fanatical opinion about something. Because some of these people get really riled up about this. And I'm going, dude, you don't even understand what you're talking about.
No,
You have no understanding whatsoever.
You know
So,
what?
and if someone like me, who is not an expert, were excluded from this conversation, and in my stead came endocrinologists to have a conversation, like, I'd be perfectly, I would please bring the experts and let them talk. Because here's the thing, when you talk to doctors, they're not radical against it. They're not radical. Doctors are not radically against PEDs because they understand these things. I'm like, yeah, this guy is like, 200, this guy is 800. But the public goes, oh, he took something, he's cheating. And that conversation ends on that surface right there.
I think it's a magic pill.
And it's a little more complicated.
It's way more than that.
It's exactly. Thank you. So that's my take on it. Now, I think that the wrong questions are being asked. The wrong people are making decisions. You just got way too many people reading the headlines and making strong statements based on a headline on a topic they don't understand.
True. It's true. I thank you so. I don't want to. I mean, I went way over what I meant to go.
No worries, man.
I thank you so much for.
You waited for me for an hour and a half, so it's a least I can do.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I learned watching your class, and is there anything you wanted to talk about or push before we wrapped it up?
If you're ever in Vegas, stop by the gym.
Ever in Vegas, Zenith BJJ.
Despite what people say, I am not political when it comes to jiu-jitsu. It's when I am anti-political when people have been political with me. Then I become political, right? Like when people try to become political, you have to be political back. But when people are not political with me, I'm not political with them. I'm more than welcome. Come by, stop by the gym. I have a ton of people visit for No Gi Worlds. I will be at No Gi Worlds this weekend.
No Gi Worlds this weekend.
Yeah, stop by the gym. That's all I can say. That's meet you on, see you on the mats. Stop by for a class.
Once again, guys, we thank you for watching all the way through. We thank Zenith Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, Robert Drysdale, for letting us do this video. And if you like this, like it. If you want to talk about it, comment below. Get in the comment, start a conversation. Subscribe if you like this type of material. And as I always say, stay up, stay vigilant, stay locked and loaded, stay brutal. Peace and shalom, shalom.